Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamutiraят. Shrivatam Svakta Krishna Punya Sravana Kirtana Hridyantasthokya Bhadrani Vidunoti Sarshitam. Nasta Prayasha Padrishu Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya Bhagavate Utamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtiki. We will be reading today Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 31, Text 44-46. Text 44. Jivohi asyano gojiho kutendriya mano maya tani radho asya maranam avi bhavastu sambhava. Jiva, the living entity, he indeed, asya of him, anuga suitable, deha body, bhuta gross material elements, indriya senses, mana mind, maya made of, tat of the body, nirodha destruction, asya of the living entity, maranam death, avirbhava manifestation, to bad, sambhava birth. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. In this way, the living entity gets a suitable body with a material mind and senses, according to his fruitive activities. When the reaction of his particular activity comes to an end, that end is called death. And when a particular type of reaction begins, that beginning is called birth. Purport. From time immemorial, the living entity travels in the different species of life and the different planets almost perpetually. This process is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra rudani maya. Under the spell of Maya, everyone is wandering throughout the universe on the carriage of the body offered by the material energy. Materialistic life involves a series of actions and reactions. It's a long film spool of actions and reactions, and one lifespan is just a flash in such a reactionary show. When a child is born, it's to be understood that his particular type of body is the beginning of another set of activities, and when an old man dies, it is to be understood that one set of reactionary activities is finished. We can see that because of different reactionary activities, one man is born in a rich family and another is born in a poor family, although both of them are born in the same place at the same moment and in the same atmosphere. One who is carrying pious activity with him is given a chance to take his birth in a rich or pious family, and one who is carrying impious activity is given a chance to take birth in a lower, poor family. The change of body means a change to a different field of activities. Similarly, when the body of the boy changes into that of a youth, the boyish activities change into youthful activities. It is clear that a particular body is given to the living entity for a particular type of activity. This process is going on perpetually from a time which is impossible to trace out. Vaishnava poets say, therefore, anadi karma pale, which means that these actions and reactions of one's activity cannot be traced, for they may even continue from the last millennium of Brahma's birth to the next millennium. We have seen the example in the life of Narada Muni. In one millennium, he was the son of a maidservant, and in the next millennium, he became a great sage. Text 45-46. Dravyopalabhi sthanasya dravyakshayo gati yada tat panchatvam aham manad utpatir dravya darshanam yatakshnor dravya vayava Darshana yogyata yada tadaiva chakshusho trashtur trashtva yogya dhanayaha. Dravya of object, upalabhi of perception, sthanasya of the place, dravya of object, iksha of perception, ayogyata incapability, yada when, that, panchatvam death, ahamanad from the misconception of I, utpatti birth, dravya the physical body, darshanam viewing, yatha just as, akshana of the eyes, dravya of objects, avya part, darshana of seeing, ayogyata incapability, yada when, tada then, ever indeed, chakshusha of the sense of sight, drashta of the seer, drashta of the faculty of seeing, ayogata incapability, ayanaha of both of these. Translation. When the eyes lose their power to see color or form due to morbid affliction of the optic nerve, the sense of sight becomes deadened. The living entity who is the seer of both the eyes and the sight loses his power of vision. In the same way, when the physical body, the place where perception of objects occurs, is rendered incapable of perceiving, that is known as death. When one begins to view the physical body as one's very self, that is called birth. Purport. When one says, I see, this means that he sees with his eyes or with his spectacles. He sees with the instrument of sight. If the instrument of sight is broken or becomes diseased or incapable of acting, then he as the seer also ceases to act. Similarly, in this material body, at the present moment, the living soul is acting, and when the material body, due to its incapability to function, ceases, he also ceases to perform his reactionary activities. When one's instrument of action is broken and cannot function, that is called death. Again, when one gets a new instrument of action, that is called birth. This process of birth and death is going on at every moment by constant bodily change. The final change is called death, and acceptance of a new body is called birth. That is the solution to the question of birth and death. Actually, the living entity has neither birth nor death, but is eternal. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, na hanyate hanyamane sharire. The living entity never dies, even after the death or annihilation of this material body. Om Gyana Dirvandasya, Ninanjana Shalakaya, Chakshur Umilitam Yanam, Tasmai Shri Guruvya Namaha. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityananya. Namaste Saraswati Devi Guruvaya Pracharya Visheshuni Vata Prasthaya. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadhara Shri Vasanta Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. I humbly bow down and seek blessings from all the assembled Vaishnavas, and thank you for the opportunity to read Srimad Bhagavatam for my own purification. I've selected a few points to summarize from lectures from Parampara. We are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 31, called The Movements of the Living Entities. In text 44, we have read today analysis of birth and death. In birth and death, generally, a lot of emotions involved and expressed. Usually, joy when someone is born, lamentation when someone dies, sometimes joy when someone dies also. If a great demon dies, people might experience great joy. These topics has been analyzed in a scientific way. What is birth? A particular set of reactions, and death means this set of reactions are over, and now one goes to another set of reactions. And one lifespan is just a flash in such a reactionary show. These events cause disturbance in one's mind. Even a learned person can be disturbed. The power of Maya is so strong and can cloud the mind and put one in illusion. People are so disturbed by wars, but everyone has to die sooner or later. From history of human society, people build things up. Some people become very powerful, and someone comes and destroys what was built. And then someone else comes and get big, and later get destroyed. Only one in Krishna consciousness who is engaged in devotional service can learn to be not disturbed by Maya's provocation, because he sees through understanding of Shastras, through eyes of eternity. What is this life? Everything here is temporary. In text 45 and 46, we have read how the sense of sight becomes deadened. At the time of death, the living entity who is the seer of both the eyes and the sight loses his power of vision. When the material body, due to its incapability to function, ceases, he also ceases to perform his reactionary activities. When one's instrument of action is broken and cannot function, that is called death. Again, when one gets a new instrument for action, that is called birth. Eternal soul doesn't belong here. It has no identification with anything people usually identify themselves with. It's not a son for someone, not a father of someone else, just a temporary and not meaningful role a soul plays in the material world. Arjuna was self-realized. He studied Bhagavad Gita directly from Krishna, but when Abhimanyu died, he was so upset. He just heard Bhagavad Gita. He's supposed to be detached, but he got so upset that when Abhimanyu died, he vowed that tomorrow before the sunset, he will kill the killer or he will kill himself. Srila Prabhupada says, it is natural that he has affection for his child, but his self-realization was seen in the fact that he didn't give up his duty. Feeling of affection is there, but he went with his duty of serving Krishna. We also read in Bhagavad Gita, in heat and cold, happiness and distress, one should tolerate them. It doesn't mean one doesn't feel the heat or the cold. It doesn't mean that a self-realized person is in permanent air-conditioned atmosphere and not feeling the heat. He feels it also. There is nothing wrong with a sadhu wearing warm clothes in winter because he might die without it. Some sadhus learn to sleep only with one blanket on the ground. They have developed great tolerance. They feel it, but they don't get disturbed by it. For the family members, the affection is there, but at the same time, there should be an understanding that this is not permanent. Bodily relationship is temporary, but affection is expressed by helping each other in Krishna consciousness. Parents should preach to their children that everything in this world is temporary and that we don't belong here. Someone is a father for a short time in comparison with eternity, and ultimately we are all a part and parcel of Krishna. If instructions are there, then they can be detached from material life. Lack of proper knowledge make people forget the true reason of rituals. The proper knowledge should be instructed and regulated. Otherwise, people are getting information from the world of Maya. There are so many sensory provocations around us. Everything is directed for sense gratification. Looking at the faces of materialistic people, one in knowledge can see the whole mentality of forgetfulness of Krishna. Materialistic people think that they are the body they should enjoy. Without hearing regularly Krishna Katha, to cut through illusion and doubts, we may go through emotions. Hearing from proper source is very important, and acting on it also. Devotional service means acting on the platform of self-realization, even if we are not on that platform. Engaging in devotional service helps us to come to that platform. Proper hearing helps to understand the point that we are supposed to be serving. It's not an academic study like students cram knowledge in brain and think that they will know. They will have the knowledge. It doesn't work that way. Knowledge is revealed within the heart to those who are favored by Lord and his devotees, but their sincere service attitude. One has to be in the mood of service. We hear the emphasizes, read, hear, study, but service has to be there. Yogis engage their mind, body, senses for the sake of purification. Purification is understanding that I am the servant of Krishna and to engage into his service. There are many opportunities for service. Reading Srimad Bhagavatam, book distribution, a direct service to Srila Prabhupada for our own spiritual advancement. If spiritual acharyas and spiritual teacher are satisfied, then our spiritual path is clear, whether or not we know a lot of shlokas. It only matters if we are recognized by a spiritual teacher. Being recognized by spiritual teacher means being recognized by Krishna. I will stop here. I apologize for any shortcomings during reading and summarizing. Vancha kalpa drubhyascha, kripa sindhubyeva patitanam paravanabiyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. If anyone has any questions, comments, please share. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Excellent summary.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nice.
Mataji.
Thank you so much,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Nice summary. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji, for the excellent review of the topic. And Hare Krishna.